The stars are right, and that means it's time for another episode of The Whisper in Darkness. I'm your host, the Man from Lang. Thank you very much for joining me today. On this episode, we are wrapping up our playthroughs of the prologue for the Circle Undone. That's right, on this episode, we are playing Penny White, the survivor-esque neutral investigator included in the Circle Undone. Let's take a look at Penny. She is a Joseph's housekeeper. She has 4 willpower, 1 intellect, 3 combat, and 2 agility. She has the assistant trait and the response after you succeed at a skill test during a revelation effect. Discover 1 clue at your location, limit once per round. She also has an Elder Sign effect +1. If this is a skill test during a revelation effect, you may take an additional action during your next turn. She has 7 health and 5 sanity. So the reverse of Valentino Rivas, who we played through the prologue with during the last episode. Penny, in her starting area, she begins with a copy of Dig Deep, knife, and flashlight with 2 supply tokens remaining on it. And her opening hand includes Stray Cat, Lucky, knife, flashlight, 2 copies of Act of Desperation, the survivor event from the Circle Undone that allows you to discard items from your play area or hand for combat and damage bonuses. And of course, finally, 2 copies of Able-Bodied, the survivor skill from the Circle Undone that gives you bonus combat and or agility skill icons depending on how many items you have in play. So Penny is the survivor-esque. That 1 intellect is not going to do us any favors when if we're hoping to avoid triggering those haunted abilities on locations. Fortunately, she does have that that flashlight that should help her lower the shroud value of those locations. And if we can lower it far enough, say down to a 0, that means we can succeed unless we draw the auto fail. 4 willpower is always nice to see. 3 combat, we do have a knife as well, so we can fight. And evading is going to be tricky, so we are going to probably save our able-bodied for those times if we do need to evade, say against the big bad in this scenario. We are set up and ready to go here in Octagon. Here is Penny, and she starts this this game with 2 resources, so not the full 5. So using Dig Deep is going to be, we're not going to be able to use that as much as we may like, although Dig Deep doesn't see a whole lot of play in decks because it does give you that 1 willpower and 1 agility skill icon. We unfortunately begin play with a Wraith in our threat area. The Wraith has 2 fight, 2 health, and 2 evade. It has the Monster, Geist, and Spectral traits. It is a hunter, as many of the enemies in this particular deluxe box seem to be. And it has the forced effect when Wraith is defeated by damage, except from a spell or relic. Instead of discarding it, attach it to its location. Attached location gains Haunted, spawn Wraith at this location. So with this knife here, we are not going to be able to defeat the Wraith permanently. The best we can hope to do is attach it to our location and go from there. Of course, the Spectral Watcher begins in play. It has 3 fight, 5 health, and 3 evade, alert, and hunter, and when it is defeated, instead of discarding it, it heals all damage, disengages from all investigators, and exhausts, and it is not ready during the upkeep phase this round. I don't think we're going to have much chance of killing the Spectral Watcher in this game, considering we just have 1 copy of Knife in our play area and another copy in our hand. So dealing 5 damage, that's a pretty big ask for Penny in this scenario. Penny does begin play here at the balcony, which does have, I believe, the lowest shroud of all the spectral locations. It has 1 Shroud and 1 Clue and has the Haunted ability. Each of your cards with health takes 1 damage. We also begin the game with 1 Treachery in play, Whispers in the Dark. It has the Omen and Spectral traits. Revelation, put Whispers in the Dark into play next to the agenda deck. Each location gains the Haunted ability, take 1 horror, and then when the round ends, we discard Whispers in the Dark. So hopefully we can, I think our plan for this is going to be to kill the Wraith, or at least attach it to the location. Then we can use our flashlight to lower the shroud value of the balcony to 0. Hopefully grab that clue and then move out this turn, because we will have to evade this Spectral Watcher. Not this turn, but probably the following turn we will have to deal with it. The agenda is 1A, Judgment. There is no escaping your fate. Hear the call and be reborn. So we will be adding Doom to that. And every time we add a Doom, we take a damage or a horror. 2 damage or 2 horror instead if there are 5 or more Doom in play. So that will get progressively more painful. Act 1A is the Disappearance, and this just means the only thing with this is if we, when we're defeated, we place all our clues on it. That is really the only victory condition in this for us. We can only add some clues to it, hopefully by the end, and of course victory points don't count. We're playing Disappearance at the Twilight Estate on standard difficulty. The only card or the only token, sorry, we need to worry about is the Skull. It's a -3, and if you fail this, and this is an attack or evasion attempt, you resolve each haunted ability on your location. So when we go to fight this Wraith, we want to make sure we're at least 3 up before the pull, just to avoid triggering that haunted ability, as well as the extra haunted ability from Whispers in the Dark. I think we're ready to go here, so let's see how we do here with Penny. Valentino managed to grab 3 clues. He could have had 4, but we really had some crazy RNG in that game, and we ended up dying in 1 turn. So let's see if Penny can't do better than that. I believe our first action, we are going to try to kill the Wraith, or at least get rid of it. So we will discard our knife. We will throw the knife at the Wraith. The knife will give us a +2 to our combat. So we are at 5, and we are going to be hitting for an extra damage. So 5 versus 2, that does take the skull out of the bag. So hopefully we will be able to do this in 1 shot. Let's see how we do. Chaos Bag says -3, so good thing we just succeed there. So the Wraith will go up here. It takes 2 damage, and it gets attached to this location. We need our 3 actions here, first of all. So that was action number 1. Action number 2, we can spend a resource from our flashlight to... or a supply, sorry, from our flashlight to reduce the shroud value of the balcony to 0. So we can investigate there, and that gives us a skull. So that is a -3, but that's okay. We are at a 0 anyway, so we will grab that clue. So far, we're off to a good start. No hijinks right at the start, like some of the other scenarios we run into. We will move as our final action to the master bedroom. The master bedroom is a 3-shroud location with 1 clue, and it has the haunted ability, place 1 of your clues on master bedroom. Now, 3-shroud, that's going to be a little bit harder for Penny to succeed at with that flashlight, since she can only reduce it to 1, and we don't have a lot of, we only have 1 other intellect icon in our hand, that being our other flashlight. And we've got a copy of Lucky, that can help us out. But other than that, not much to work with. We do have a stray cat, though. That is an auto-evade if we discard it. A non-elite enemy. That will not help us against the Spectral Watcher, unfortunately. So we will have to evade him somehow the old-fashioned way. I think that's going to do it for our turn. During the enemy phase, the Spectral Watcher will move up here to the Victorian Halls. And I think that's it. So we will go to the upkeep phase. We will gain a resource. We don't draw any cards, of course, because we don't have any deck in this particular scenario. And I think we're ready just to go to our first Mythos phase of the game. This Whispers in the Dark will go away at the end of the round, so we don't have to worry about that. And our first Mythos phase, let's see what we draw. We get a Shapes in the Mist. Oh, this is bad news. Surge and resolve each haunted ability on your location. So unfortunately, we have to drop our clue. It's just on our location, but we do have to drop a clue. Place one of your clues at the bedroom. That is, that's really unfortunate. I was hoping we wouldn't see that right away. That surges, whoops, into... Well, my thing isn't working here. We'll just have to do it the old-fashioned way. That brings us Watcher's Grasp. Oh, we get two bad encounter cards right off the bat. The Spectral Watcher ready moves and attacks as if it were the enemy phase. So he will move to us and attack. So we take a damage and a horror. We also have to take a damage or a horror from adding that doom. So we will be taking another damage. Wow, that's a rough start. Rough start. We got off to a good start, and then all of a sudden we drew that mists, which made us drop our clue, and then of course we get attacked by the Spectral Watcher. So not a good Mythos phase for Penny. None of her special abilities come into play because there were no skill tests on that Revelation effect, unfortunately. So we are going to have to evade the Watcher. Then we will have to either stay here and try to grab these two clues, which could be very difficult, or we can just run for it and try to grab clues elsewhere. This gets worse. This scenario gets a lot harder the longer it goes on, because you are taking damage, and the number of enemies tends to mount rather rapidly. So our first task is to evade the Watcher. We are going to have to spend an able-bodied on that. It will have... we have one or fewer item assets, so it has 3 agility skill icons. So we are a 5 versus 3. That is, if we evade and draw a skull, that's bad news. So let's go, let's also commit the stray cat. That'll be 6 versus 3, so that takes the skull out of the bag. We shouldn't have to worry about that. Chaos Bag gives us a 0, so we do succeed. And of course, the Spectral Watcher does have Alert, which I was also worried about. So we will exhaust him. So he is here at the master bedroom. All right, now we need to either get moving and run away, or we can investigate here and then move. What do we have to investigate with? We just have the 1 flashlight to supply token left. We could reduce the master bedroom to a 1, but then all we would have is our lucky to get us over the hump if we fail. And lucky only gets us +2, so if we really draw badly, that is not going to help us. Wow, this is a tough choice here. I'm not entirely sure what to do. Might have better luck at some of the other locations, although I think the shroud values at those are also fairly high. What is her ability? Revelation. Yeah. It's not helping. Well, let's give it a try. Why do we have a clue? We should not have a clue. There we go. All right. I guess we'll just give it a try. We will spend the flashlight supply token to lower the shroud value by 2. So we're going 1 versus 1. Really, our best bet here is to simply hopefully draw well, and if we don't draw well, we can use the lucky. Let's see what the Chaos Bag has to say. Chaos Bag gives us a -2, so we can actually play our lucky, and that will cancel that out. We will get +2, and we will be 1 versus 1 again, and that will get us a clue. Okay, so we have a clue there. That was our second action. Third action, we're going to have to move, or we will be evading this guy all game. We will move to Victorian Halls. It's a 4-shroud location with 0 clues, and it has the haunted ability, of lose 1 action. So we don't want to do that. Let's see where we are in the... So we did our investigation phase. Enemy phase, nothing happens. During the upkeep, we ready and gain a resource. The Spectral Watcher also readies, so he will be giving chase. Ideally, what we need to do now is get our second copy of Flashlight down on the table so we can do some more investigating. And then maybe use our Act of Desperation, if need be, to kill some enemies. So we are ready to go to the next Mythos phase. We will add a Doom. We will take another damage. And we are at 3 of 7. And let's go see what we get for the encounter card. It is going to be another Wraith. The Wraith, of course, has 2 fight, 2 health, and 2 evade. Monster Geist Spectral Hunter, and when it is defeated, unless we defeat it with a spell or relic, which we do not have, we simply attach it to our location. So, how can we defeat this thing? Well, we've got Act of Desperation. We should have gained some resources. Oh, no, we didn't. We didn't actually play Act of Desperation. Okay, so if we use our Flashlight, we will get +2 combat and deal +1 damage. So let's do that. Let's gain our 3 actions first of all. Our first action will be to try to defeat the Wraith. We are going to use our Flashlight to do that. We will throw the Flashlight at the Wraith and hopefully hit it hard enough that it will go down. That is going to be... So we get +2 and +1 damage. So we are going to be a 5 versus 2. So we have taken the skull out of the bag again. Chaos Bag says -2. So we do hit the Wraith for 2 damage. So it will be attached to this location. So far, so good. Act of Desperation has come in handy. We will need to move to get away from the Spectral Watcher. So we will move to the Trophy Room. The Trophy Room is a 2-shroud location with 1 clue, and it has the haunted ability, lose 2 resources. For each resource you cannot lose for this effect, you take 1 damage. We need to get another Flashlight down on the table in order to investigate that location successfully, so we will do that now. Drop our Flashlight here. And it will gain 3 supplies. So that will be our action. So during the enemy phase, none of the Wraiths move, fortunately. The Spectral Watcher, however, moves. And he's, of course, the one we need to stay away from here. That's going to be upkeep. So we will go to the upkeep. We'll gain another resource, and that'll be that. We will add a Doom. So we will go 4 of 7 damage. And we will draw another encounter card, which is going to be Obscuring Fog. Oh, that is really bad timing. Really bad timing on our part. I want to send that to back. Obscuring Fog, of course, attached to your location, limit 1 per location, and it adds +2 Shroud to that location, and when it's successfully investigated, we discard it. So far, we haven't been able to use any of Penny's abilities, and now this is a 4 Shroud location, so the best we can do is reduce it to a 2, and that is not going to be good enough. Penny really doesn't have a lot she can do here. We haven't drawn any skill, any treachery cards that allow us to succeed at a skill test, which is a way to discover clues. I think rather than waste a supply here with the flashlight, we are going to just keep on moving. We will move to the billiards room. It is a 3 Shroud location with 1 clue, and it has the haunted ability. You must either discard an asset you control or take 1 damage. So that is not much better. Must either discard an asset or take a damage. 3 Shroud, that's tough. I can't remember what the Shroud of the Office is. I think it's 3, if I remember correctly. Would we have much better chance there? Wow, that Obscuring Fog really hosed us. I'm not entirely sure what the best course of action is here now with Penny. If we waste a charge here, we will simply we'll reduce it to 1. And then if we fail, we'll have to take a damage or lose something. I think I'm going to try the Office. I don't like my odds at the billiard room. I wish I had more intellect icons, but I don't. That's the biggest issue here. I guess we'll wait for the Spectral Watcher to come to us. So I am going to... Do I play the knife? I guess I play the knife. But that makes our able-bodied not as good. And we're going to need that able-bodied to evade him next turn. So I guess I'll just gain a resource here. Not a whole lot of great options. So during the enemy phase, the Spectral Watcher will move and engage us and hit us for a damage and a horror. So we're at 5 damage and 2 horror out of 5. So that is not great. Not great at all. We will go to the upkeep. We will gain another resource. And I guess our only option is... We'll just go to the Mythos phase. For Doom, we have to add some more damage or horror. I guess we're going to add a horror this time. We're 5 damage and 3 horror. So we can take 2 more of each. Let's see what the Chaos bag gives us. Chaos, or the encounter deck, gives us a Realm of Torment. Realm of Torment is Terror Spectral. Put Realm of Torment into play. When your turn begins, resolve each haunted ability on your location. And when your turn ends, test 3 willpower. And if you succeed, discard Realm of Torment. Okay, so that gives us a skill test we can work with. We do need to use... After you succeeded a skill test during a revelation effect. I don't think that's a revelation effect, though. That's just a forced effect, so we can't use her ability there either, if I'm reading that correctly. Well. So we gain 3. actions. We have to use, when your turn begins, resolve haunted ability at your location. Haunted ability is lose 2 resources. So we lose the 2 resources. Now we need to evade the Spectral Watcher. This could be... it won't be the end unless we draw a... no, I don't even think a skull will kill us, but we're going to have to use our able-bodied here. That will get us a 2, and this has 3 agility skill icons, so that's 5 versus 3. I'm going to use Dig Deep for 1 more on the able-bodied. So that gets us 6 versus 3. That takes the skull out of the bag. Chaos Bag says auto-fail. Oh! Come on, Chaos Bag. Oh, dear. Okay, well that... I swear, I have drawn more auto-fails playing this prologue than... it just seems like every game I've been drawing a bunch of them. I know it's the first one I've drawn this game, but it just seems like every game I'm drawing a bunch. So that is bad because he is alert. He hits us for a damage and a horror. So we are 6 versus 4. We can only take 1 more damage and 1 more horror, and we really don't have many options left. In fact, we have no options left. All we have is an act of desperation and a knife. We're not going to be able to do 5 damage to it. And we are evading it a 3 is going to be awfully difficult because we only have 1 resource left. Does her... No. Okay, well... We are going to die this turn unless we can evade him. Second action, and then move away. That's our only hope. So we're going to have to go 3 versus 3 versus an alert enemy. This is not good. Chaos Bag says 0. Hey, 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 look at that. We managed to evade the Spectral Watcher. All right. Wow. Okay, so he is evaded again. He did get his digs in, and we are going to die this turn anyway, because we're going to take 2 damage and 2 horror from the agenda when it advances. So we will move out of his location. We will go to the enemy phase. Nothing happens during the upkeep. We gain a resource, and when our turn ends, we have to test 3 willpower. So we're 4 versus 3. Chaos Bag says -1, so we do pass that. So yeah, I don't think that's a revelation. I don't think that counts for her ability. So we, regardless, we're only going to get 1 clue out of this game. And then when we advance the agenda, we add a doom. We must take 2 damage or 2 horror, and we end up being defeated. So I believe we end up being defeated by which one of these? I think if you were defeated by any... no. If you were defeated by horror or damage dealt by the forced ability on Agenda 1A, record that Penny White disappeared into the mist. So that's Penny White's fate. She vanished into the mist after really having a rough go there at the beginning. I thought things started off well. We grabbed that clue. We moved. We were in good shape, and unfortunately, we drew that card that forced us to trigger the haunted ability on the master bedroom. We ended up dropping our clue. It surged into the Spectral Hunter or Spectral Watcher moving and attacking us, and things just didn't get much better from there. We did get to the trophy room where we could have done an investigate action at a 2 Shroud location. Unfortunately, then we drew Obscuring Fog, which turned it into a 4-shroud location. I want to check what the... yeah, the office is a 4-shroud location. I thought it was 3, but it's 4, so that's even worse. So, tough go here. I'm not entirely sure how Penny is going to gain clues. I'm going to look at the encounter deck here for a second. Yeah, Revelation Test. We needed to draw things like Trapped Spirits. Terror in the Night would have been good. No, I think, are those the only ones that help us? Crypt Chill would have been okay. Yeah, but even those, I mean, Crypt Chill is a test for willpower, so we'd have to do... That's the odds on that aren't great. As Trapped Spirits, I believe the odds, she's a 3, or she's a 2, so not great odds with Trapped Spirits. And Terror in the Night is also a 4, so really bad odds across the board for Penny here. So yeah, I think now that I've had a chance to play all 4 of the neutral investigators through the prologue, I think Valentino is my favorite of the bunch. He feels like he's got all the tools he needs to pick up 3 or even 4 clues if he's a little bit lucky. I felt that we could have easily had that with, unless if we hadn't drawn all those auto fails. Gabriella and Penny are pretty tough with that 1 intellect. That is rough to try to investigate with any sort of success and not to trigger haunted abilities, especially when the shroud value on these locations, I mean 3, 4, 3, and 4, and you've only got 1, 2, and 1, 1 on the table. That's going to be tough to do. Jerome, he's got all the intellect, but he has not many ways to deal with enemies, and there are a lot of enemies in the encounter deck, so I think it really depends with him how you... I mean, it's all up to draws. If you draw a lot of enemies like I did during my scenario, he is going to be... he's going to go down quickly. If he just draws treacheries, I think he could probably pick up at least, 2 or 3 clues before he gets defeated. But my advice, if you're playing the prologue, play Valentino. I think he's the best of the bunch. And that will do it for the prologue. I'm not too sure how often I'm going to play the prologue from now on, to be honest. It seems really a couple bad pulls and things go downhill really quickly. And I think one of the biggest issues I have with these neutral investigators is that they simply don't have a lot of resources in your hand or in their resource pool. So if you happen to miss on your big skill test, you don't have anything to do. You can't really recover that well. Like when I missed that evade test versus the Spectral Watcher. Like, if I had more cards in my hand, if I was drawing cards, I'd probably have some more agility icons to throw to it. Instead, I just have to take an agility skill test at 3 versus 3 versus an alert enemy, and that's not what you want to be doing in this game. So I hope you enjoyed the prologues. I'll be back with the playthroughs of the regular 2 scenarios. I asked everybody to comment on what investigator they'd like me to play through the campaign with, and Diana seems to be the one everyone wants to see. So I am in the process of trying to build a Diana deck that I think will do okay. She is a little tricky just because she is a mystic, and I find mystics a little slow at the beginning of a scenario. But we shall see. I have had a chance to play her a couple times now, and I'm curious to see what she can do. So I will be back with those, and I hope you'll join me then. So stay tuned. That's going to do it for this episode. If you enjoy what you hear, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. If you need to contact me, I can be reached at manfromlang@gmail.com. I'm also on Twitter at manfromlang. Until the stars are right, keep your shotgun close and your elder sign closer. Take care out there, and happy investigating.